Hi, today we have one of my friends, JB Owen. JB and I met recently as I was a part of one of the books that she was publishing, Ignite the Hunger in You. We wrote that with Les Brown. JB is a fearless female leader and a believer in the power of empowerment. JB's true focus is on helping others, which is why she started Ignite Publishing, the leader in empowerment publishing in 2018. She's a world-class speaker, 18-time best-selling author, and powerful business owner who is committed to raising the vibration of the planet and igniting a billion lives through Ignite. She is motivated by the opportunity to assist individuals in breaking through their limiting beliefs to experience their own Ignite moment, which changes their perspective and positively alters the course of their life. She combines purpose, passion, and possibilities in everything she does, exemplifying a new paradigm of what's possible. JB motivates and inspires her clients to impact others and ignite humanity.
Welcome to Money with Mission, where we show you how to create passive income so that you have options for how to work and how to live your life while leaving a legacy of positive social impact.
Welcome, JB. Thank you so much for coming on. I so much appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here and I appreciate you so much, so much.
If you guys are feeling at all down or no energy, listen to this podcast because you will be given energy by JB. I'm always with her. When I'm with her, I feel energized. It oozes it. It's so amazing to me.
Thank you for saying that. I'm very blessed. And, I got to just spread it out in the world and it's like a ripple effect.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. So just a little bit of more background. JB and I met when we met through a class we were taking with Les Brown and Hungry to Speak. And JB is a publisher and was putting together a book. And that book was Ignite the Hunger in You. She invited me to write a chapter in that book, which I did. And that whole experience was just amazing. And through that, got to know her a little bit more. So I would like for you guys to get to know JB and know where she wasn't born a publisher. She didn't pop out and I'm a publisher. How did you get to that?
Yeah, it was definitely a journey. I think entrepreneurs and people in business and those who have an aspiration to help others, they're always sort of looking for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And so in the process of how can I make this better? How can we help other people? How should we do this differently? I was focused on the publishing industry because I had published my first book in 2003. And I did end up self-publishing because it was so hard to find a publisher. It was so hard to get into the business. There was just so many pitfalls and landmines that new authors don't know. And through that experience, I just realized, I don't want people to feel like that. I don't want people to be treated like that. I think authors should be empowered when they write their books. And because I love business, I really wanted to teach people how to build a business behind their book. And when I published my first book in 2003 at 23 years old, I paid $27,000 to get my books to my garage, and then I didn't have a plan. And so for a while, they sat in my garage until I created a plan that was going to help me monetize my investment.
Got it.
And so led to how can I help people build a business and build a brand so that they can monetize? And then ultimately, what I like to say is create a legacy.
Got it. So one thing I want my listeners to hear is that, because you might be wondering, what do I have in common with this lady? Helping people is what drove her to do what she does. And most of us are driven to help in some kind of way. And it's just the path we choose that gets us there. So, but I'm going to back up a little bit more, JB. You said when you were 23 years old and you wrote your first book, but what made you want to write that book?
Well, interesting enough, as a kid, I struggled obviously through my teen years like every other kid, and I now have teenagers, so I understand it. But I ended up leaving home 11 days after I graduated from high school, moved to the big city so I could get away from my parents. I ended up going into college, and then I moved to another city to finish my degree. And then 11 days after I finished college, I went to the Dominican Republic to just get as far away from my family as possible.
Okay.
And I guess from my life. But the fascinating thing is, while I was living in the Dominican Republic, I had this massive transformation because I had grown up quite privileged with a little bit of a silver spoon in my mouth, but I felt like I had nothing because I didn't have this great connection with my family. I didn't have a good connection with my sister. We weren't a family unit. And when I moved there, I saw how incredible people who had nothing, in my mind, had everything because they had family, they had honor, they had faith, they had belief, and they had this connection and this camaraderie. And so while living there for 3 years, I really was transformed to make amends and reach out to my family. I started writing letters to my mom. This was before cell phones and emails. I actually wrote her handwritten letters. And then while I was living there, actually the fax machine showed up. And so I started faxing her letters because it was easier and took less time. But it inspired me to realize that it really only takes one person to heal a relationship, because when I finally eventually came home, I had an incredible relationship with my mom because I'd made that transformation as into it's not all about me. And, you know, there is reasons why she did what she did. And so it inspired me to write a book to help other adult daughters deal with their relationship with their mothers, because as I said in my book, I am your child, but I am no longer a child. And so there is that transition that changes. And that really inspired me to write the book. But then, as I said, I didn't have a plan. I didn't know how to execute the book, monetize the book, make the book have a bigger impact than I wanted, until I actually started focusing on what do I do now? And of course, I did push and persuade and do everything I could. I ended up traveling across the country. I ended up doing the typical book tour circuit, going to all the bookstores and all the media outlets. And that really taught me how important it is to build a business around a product.
Interesting. So I'm trying to make a connection for my women physicians and for physicians who may be listening to this to what you're saying. And I'm hearing a lot of hard work. First of all, you have a plan of what you're going to do, and then oh, this is a lot more work than I thought it was going to be to get where you want it, what you want. And then you have to kind of work through all the different steps to getting the outcome you want. You had a goal in mind, I'm assuming. Once you put the book out, go ahead, talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely had a goal, but what I really realized was that you have to create a business that's going to support others, because when you do a business just for self, there doesn't have a lot of legs to stand on. And I really started my business with the belief system that how can we support others? How can we build an intrinsic business that is going to do what I call the triple win? I win, my customers win, my clients win, those clients win, the people they interact win. And so now we're having a bigger global impact on our business because people around us are winning. And so what happens a lot of time in any industry is what happens is we become, how do I survive? How do I get through? How do I pay my bills? How do I get better than the next person? And there's this real competitive nature in business and in any business. How can I be better than somebody else? Because there's only so much to go around. And the truth is, what we need to teach people is that there's an abundant amount to go around, and there's an endless amount to go around, and that through creative process and through collaborative process, we get a lot more success. Things happen to us and motivate us in a way that we wouldn't even imagine when we start collaborating with people. And then when we dip into creative versus competitive, we actually access, a higher power, a higher energy, or what's needed in the world to create that.
Interesting. Do you think that, well, I have heard that women are more collaborative across the board as a species than men, or more masculine energy people. Do you find that to be true?
Well, for years, I've been speaking on stage in front of thousands of people talking about the currency of success. When I started my business, I did always try to be that masculine energy. I didn't have a lot of female role models. And so I was doing what the guys were doing. I was showing up in the corner office aggressive with my briefcase in my hand, and trying to fit into the man's paradigm of what success looked like. Eventually, over time, I learned that there is a currency of success. We all have our own currency. And some people, it is having the corner office. But for other people, it's maybe having an avocado farm in Costa Rica. For some people, it might be helping children. But for other people, it's helping animals. Our currency of success is quite different in that we're all individuals, but then layer on top of that, the current success of women is very different than of men. Women do want more to do with collaboration. They're thinking more about humanitarian causes. They're much more concerned with what's happening in the family, and they do want collective success amongst all. They're less invested in just succeeding themselves or just a small group of people succeeding. Women tend to be much more committed to the collective succeeding, and I think that is a very unique currency of success for women. And for, as you know, I go by the Pink Billionaire because my idea is that women can be fierce and fabulous and feminine and very, very successful.
That's so very interesting. You said so much in there that I think women surgeons, we're in this field, and yes, there are quite a few of us now, but it's still a very masculine field, and we tend to work in a masculine way, and more of our energy tends to be masculine. I'm trying to think of all the women surgeons I know, and any of them I feel like I have women friends that I feel have a more feminine energy, and it's a hard thing to describe, but almost all the women physicians I know, surgeons, have more of a masculine type persona or energy. They're girls for sure, they're women for sure, but how we've come and show ourselves in our work turned out much more masculine. Now there's some things, yes, that have to be, come on, ladies, I get it. We're in surgery, we got to tell people what to do. But when we're together, we can be a lot more collaborative. We can learn from each other, which we do. We do talk to each other. We do spend time with each other, but there's still some of that overlying masculinity to me. And I work hard for it myself. I really work hard to try to be more in that feminine collaborative energy. Lack of scarcity, get rid of the scarcity mentality. There's not enough. There's a ton for everybody, but working together is the way to get the most for everybody, is what I'm thinking. And I think that's what I heard you saying, JB.
Yeah, and I agree with that so much. I mean, we are, as women, I consider myself very much in my masculine energy when I'm working. But the interesting thing is that regardless of where you are on, say, the energy meter, is that you are authentic to yourself. See, what happens for most women is they're always sort of changing or altering their behavior, trying to be less feminine or less masculine or more masculine or too much, or they're acting in a certain way that they think is cohesive with their colleagues, but it isn't intrinsically what they feel. And so there is this mask or this uncomfortableness or this ability that just allows them not to feel like they can truly be themselves. And when you can't really be yourself around your clients or your customers or your patients, it becomes very, very difficult. It's so much more taxing. There's so much more energy that's required when you're not being yourself. And so if we had this freedom, if we had more of of accepting, and hey, let's just be honest, women with women, because women can be really hard on other women. Yes. And if there was this acceptance around however you show up, masculine, more feminine, more girly, more male, whatever that is, however you showed up, if it was accepted and allowed and validated, then I think it would be a lot less stress on everybody to be something that they're not.
100%. And that, while in and of itself may not fix the burnout problem in medicine, it would go a long way. Just uncovering yourself, being who you are, being able to be who you are and be accepted that way would make it so much less tiring being a physician. It just, being anybody would make it so much less taxing. One of your goals, JB, is to ignite humanity with what you're doing. Talk about that.
Well, you know, the pandemic, of course, and for any physician listening, has been like a huge, change and shift in the world. I can only imagine what everyone is going through. But what came up for me really was about the mindset of how it had really impacted our mindset, our mental health, our willingness, our belief systems. And so I became very, very passionate about possibilities. Like, how can we trigger the mind to be focused on what's possible? Like, health is possible, healing is possible, recovery is possible, along with helping the planet, healing the planet. That's all possible. And so I've become so passionate about talking about possibilities and humanity, because for the first time ever, we are able to have this common denominator. Now, it's not a great common denominator, but it's something that really makes us relate. I remember right before the pandemic, there were the fires in Australia. Now, I live in Canada. I could relate to the fires in Australia. I could watch the news. I could think of how bad it was, but I really didn't have an essence or a feeling of how bad that it was. I've
Mhm.
known my whole life that kids are starving in Africa. I've known my whole life that there's problems and poverty, but I haven't really felt it. And I feel like the pandemic is the one thing that has made us all actually be able to feel what our fellow man or woman is feeling. Therefore, if we can do that through something as unhealthy as the pandemic, what if we could do the same thing through something super healthy, super productive, super important that everyone could relate to? And so that's my desire to ignite humanity, because humanity for the first time is a collective more than it ever has been before. Those walls of separation are brought down in a lot of ways. And you see humanity rising up for the sake of humanity, not just for the sake of self. And so my goal is really how to ignite humanity. How do we show humanity that it's possible, the things that we can do to save the planet, save the ozone, save the water, save the trees, save the people, and solve some of our big problems that are going to allow us to have a better future.
Yeah, we are the same in that. And one of the problems that I see and I'm working on is food access. And it's terrible that in our country, the United States, that there are people who could eat whatever they want, wherever they want, whenever they want. And there are people who can't even get an apple or fresh vegetables. They live in a food desert, and the food that they can get comes from Quick Trip or a fast food restaurant. And that is what they eat. And then we wonder why their health is less than people who have access to all kinds of food. So one person at a time, I'm working to educate, just like you're doing it on a bigger scale. Yes, it is one person at a time, but it's 50 people at a time in a book. And the way that worked for me, and I think listening to the other authors, is getting our stories out showed, like, getting my story out showed me, oh my, I do have a lot to offer. I have done some things that are amazing. And it really ignited me to go further, to do more. It showed me how much one person can really do.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, because stories are, for me, the thing that is going to unite us. We all can relate to each other's story. We all can relate to the human experience, the human plight. And so if we can tell a story and people can relate to you, then they feel like they can learn from you and they can gain wisdom from you. And so that for me feels super important, because we want each other to be able to connect with one another. You all know, and all your listeners know, that connection, the human connection, is the most important thing. All of that other stuff is just sort of extra. And if we build the human connection, if we create better connections with all of us, regardless race, color, creed, gender, all of those things get put to the side, and we're working towards the betterment of humanity, then I feel we have an incredible chance, and we have like unlimited possibilities. And so that's really my mandate and where I'm headed. And you're right, stories help us, in my opinion, get us there, because they make us closer and more connected.
I agree. And that connection was never more obvious to, I think, like you said, our united experience in the last 2 years has been the pandemic, and to me, lack of connection with all the things that you're usually connected with. And it just showed to me how important those connections are. When we come right back, JB is going to talk about what she's doing at her special project in Cambodia. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Felicia, host of Money with Mission, the social impact real estate investing podcast for female surgeons and proceduralists. I've been a urologist since 1993. I was one of the first 100 women urologists in the United States. Like most of you, all I knew about money was go to school, get a great job, save money, work until I could afford to retire, and to start enjoying life. I quickly knew this was not what I wanted. I started building wealth and passive income with real estate over 20 years ago. I want to help you do the same faster and with more efficiency. Let's give ourselves options in our careers. Money coming in, regardless of whether you go to work, is a way to make that happen. Investing in social impact real estate projects is a way to build passive income, have a positive social impact, and start to build the legacy you want to leave.
All right, welcome back, JB. You have 18 bestsellers, is that correct?
Yeah, thank you for asking.
And international bestsellers. We're not just talking about, one country, international bestsellers. How many different authors have you worked with?
We've been so blessed to have over 700 authors go through our platform and shared over 700 Ignite moments and Ignite stories. And it just keeps growing and growing and growing. It's really, really a beautiful thing because people, they love stories and they love hearing from their fellow human, fellow man. And so it's really a really beautiful process.
The best thing about it to me is you read somebody else's story, it's like, oh, huh. A couple things can happen. One, it's like, okay, I thought things were awful for me. She overcame that. So I know I can get through this. That's one thing that's happened to me. And then it's like, oh, my story's not that much different. I'm not the only one who's gone through this kind of thing, which makes you feel so much less lonely. It's the most, just connects you. What we were talking about before, that connection that we all crave, even if we don't realize we crave it.
Yeah, I think that there's many of us who come together with our stories and we realize, like, you're right. Like, if she can do it, I can do it. If he got there, I can get there. And at the same time, it makes us realize we're not that different and we're not that much, we're not as separated as we think we are.
Exactly.
And these books have really inspired even more. I will share with you a little bit. This year has all been about legacy also. I've decided, like, how can we create legacy? How can we think about the next generation? How can we be considering what our kids are going to go through, our grandkids are going to go through? What can we leave behind? I'm currently reading a book from 1910. Wow. And I think, like, how powerful is that almost 100 years later, or 100 years later, this book is still relevant. The words in this book are still being carried on, even though the author is long gone. And so I get really excited about stories and books that we create because I know that they're building legacy. And part of building legacy is making sure that the people that even you may never know or may never touched are being improved and inspired and uplifted. And so legacy is really the word of the year, I think.
So thank you for bringing that up. I know that one of your legacies is Ignite Publishing and how many people you touch through Ignite Publishing, but I know there's something else that's special to you. I learned about you building a school. Talk to us about that and how you came to choose that, or how that chose you, actually, whichever one.
Isn't that great? I always think God is, like, so amazing, because then things just pop up on your Instagram or show up on your YouTube and you're like, oh, that's so fascinating. But I really do believe as a publisher, I have to have my eyes and ears to the ground when it comes to literacy. I mean, there are many, many children in the world who are not getting access to the books and to the reading and to the possibilities that come through mentorship, that come through words, that come through books. And so I have partnered with a company called Classroom of Hope, and they build these amazing schools in Cambodia and Rwanda that are helping children come together in very rural, impoverished areas and putting them into classrooms so that they can learn, and they're not on dirt floors and they're not sitting under tarps and they're not on the ground. They're in desks and they're in a building. And so the Ignite Possibility School of Hope was born, and so we're building the school in Cambodia. And then from that, I've committed to doing 12 schools and getting legacy leaders to join us in our next book, Ignite Legacy. And so that we can now build more and more schools. And so I'm really, really passionate about it. And to add the next layer, the Classroom of Hope has partnered with a company in Finland who has partnered with Lego and IKEA to make these incredible bricks out of recycled plastic that they are pulling out of the landfills. So they're saving the landfills, making these bricks, building these schools. And it's just an incredible, like, full circle process of helping, healing, helping, and making good come of it. And so the Ignite Possibility School of Hope, we're always looking for donations to that. And we are looking forward to creating more literacy in the lives of children.
Talk about win, win, win. I mean, kids are benefiting, companies are benefiting, the planet's benefiting. That's where you are. And that is an amazing legacy to me. That's huge, 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 huge. How can people get in touch with you, JB?
Well, you can always find me at igniteu.life, which is our website. You can Google JB Owen. I'm the only one there is there, so you can find me. Even if you Google Ignite Possibilities, we're on the first 3 pages of Google, so you'll be able to find out. But of course, if you go to our website and you search our Ignite Possibility School of Hope, you'll see all the information there, and you can definitely donate. You can definitely find out. And all the proceeds of our online book sales go towards the Ignite Possibility School of Hope. So if you're just at Amazon or you're at Barnes & Noble and you buy a book, that purchase and the price of that purchase will go towards the school. So you'll be a part of those bricks that are going into that school.
This is the book that JB and I did together. So if I can get Ignite the Hunger in You. So that one, in any of the books from Ignite Publishing, the proceeds go to buy bricks for the schools. Is that correct?
Yes, that's
For the
correct.
schools. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Mhm.
Perfect. JB, do you have a any free gifts, any gifts for the audience?
Yeah, absolutely.
you.
So I have something called Affirmations of a Billionaire, and it's an audio recording that I do like meditation and affirmations that you can listen to before bedtime. And the reason that I did that is because wealth and prosperity it's not about riches, it's about prosperity, this long-term legacy wealth. It's a mindset. It's something that you need to cultivate. It's like a muscle. And so we have a free gift where you can listen to the Affirmations of a Billionaire. I can send that definitely. And then I also have something called the virtual mentorship program. So every single day I send you a text message on what's possible, and I drop it on your phone, and you'll get a message from me on what's possible. And so that's a monthly subscription, and I'm giving it to all your listeners for free for the next month.
Awesome. So go to affirmations@moneywithmission.com to get the audio affirmations. And we'll figure out and have it in the show notes, you guys.
Yeah, mentorwithjb.com. They can just go there and get that free thing.
Mentorwithjb.com.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I think we ought to all get that, you guys. The affirmations and the Mentor with JB. How amazing would it be to have JB's energy come to your phone first thing in the morning when you're thinking, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to get through this day? And there she is. There she is.
Anything and everything is possible. The universe wants it all for you.
It is. Oh my gosh, so amazing. Thank you so much for being with me, JB. I really appreciate it. Hope you guys got something out of this. Listen to it again if you don't think you did. Listen to it again, because there's a lot in here. Thanks for coming in. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to Money with Mission. There are projects happening right now where you can have a great financial return while positively affecting the lives of others. To learn more about our opportunities, go to moneywithmission.com.